What is going on, guys? It's your boy XQ420. Welcome y'all back. Another episode of Showtime with the Cube. As always, I have got the powerful one with me, Corey Hughes. Corey, this afternoon, tonight, are you doing well?
I'm well. Not feeling too powerful. I've been so busy lately. I'm so tired.
Okay, so it's been draining the power from you.
Draining the power from me, man.
Okay,
I've been doing like 10 shows a day lately. It seems like.
Oh, okay. So, what tends to get the you reinvigorated, the power back?
Talking about excellent quality entertainment like the Continental.
That seems like what we're going to be doing today, guys. If it's your first time to this channel, hit the subscribe button. You watch this on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you listen to us on podcast platform. Appreciate everybody been checking us out so far. As Corey had said, we're going to be discussing today the Continental, which is from the world of John Wick. This series actually came out in September. All right, came out in September, and Corey, I haven't heard anything from it. Have you heard anything?
Zero.
No
Nothing.
rumblings or
nada. Nothing. People are missing out so hard. It doesn't even. If you didn't tell me this thing existed, I wouldn't know it existed. Like, it's just no advertising. There's no nothing, and it's good.
I hadn't seen it on Twitter. Hadn't seen it on TikTok. I don't know if Reddit's talked about it. I mean, zero.
Nothing
across the board, which
like,
is
even like Nerd Erotic didn't touch it. Like, nobody touched it.
Yeah, which is surprising, seeing how big John Wick was as far as the 4 movies. And we'll get into the Continental and how it kind of differs from the actual John Wick series itself, but still engulfs you into the lore and the same quote unquote dimension. It feels John Wicky without going over the top. Let's just say that. All
yes.
right, you got.
Would it
that
be
feeling.
Wiki or Wickish?
Oh, Wick-like.
Wick-like. Wick-like is it? Yes.
It might be more Wick-like. Okay, so people have slept on this. I'm surprised I haven't even seen it on TikTok. I've got multiple people who come across my feed who check out TV shows, movies, and things of that nature. They check out all kind of stuff, and I mean, not a bumble of it.
No, well, there's not. It doesn't have a superstar cast. It's got a bunch of newcomers in it, which I think is a good thing. I kind of like the cast. I thought it was okay. It wasn't overly woke, you know.
Right.
The bad guy for once was an Asian, not a white guy, which I thought was a good thing with the whole dojo situation.
Okay, yeah, okay. So they tried to be multicultural with bad guys in this one.
Yes, equal opportunity, making Asians the bad guys. So
yeah. So we're fine with that. So let's go ahead and just start diving right into it. The Continental. If you guys don't know what the Continental is, of course, if you watch the John Wick movies, the Continental is the hotel where assassins go to stay, and it kind of gives them asylum to where they don't have to worry about being killed while they're in the Continental, while they're in the hotels. Now, of course, with the John Wick lore, we know these particular type of establishments are in different cities throughout the world, okay? And so this particular series goes through how Winston obtains the Continental. So we got a young Winston in this one. And if y'all don't know, also, I think his name is Sharon. I'm sorry, Sharon, which would be Winston's right-hand man in the John Wick series. So
let me just comment right off the bat. Sharon was excellent. He was just like, he really felt like a younger version of what's his name?
The guy who died. I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either. Yes. How do you not know him? He's in Destiny, bro. How do you not know him?
Yeah, I know. And I should know his name.
But everything about him, from his mannerisms to how he held himself to his accent, he portrayed that character flawlessly. Now,
okay, go ahead.
And as far as the main character, what's his name again?
Oh, you're talking about Winston?
Winston.
Yeah.
Winston Scott. So Winston Scott here is a very aristocratic type. You kind of get that from the John Wick series. But we also learn he's opportunistic. He's not very loyal. He's kind of a backstabber, and he'll shoot you off a fucking building if it serves his purpose, right? So we kind of get a break. We have to break from that character and what we know of that character in this, because here he's the good guy, and we have to root for him, despite the fact that we know he's a little weasel at the end of the day because of what we already know about John Weasel.
Well, he's technically still a good guy.
He's a good guy, but he's a weasel. He's a weasel. He shot John Wick off the building. Okay, so he's a backstabbing weasel.
He knew he wasn't gonna kill him though. He just did that. Just be like, hey, you see, I shot him. I'm still with y'all.
Because he knew it was John Wick, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but they had to present this character in this prequel as like glowing, like could do no wrong almost, with a little bit of touch of Bruce Wayne.
You got to think he's still a weasel, but because the first thing he does, of course, when we first see him, he's in London and he's weaseling people out of money.
That is true. He is weaseling people out of money.
Yeah, and so he said, "Yeah, I built this empire." He's been weaseling folk out of money. He's been using, looks like husbands, wives. You know what I'm saying? I guess he's been in there laying the pipe. Okay, that's what it looks like. Lay the pipe, all right, and it's like, hey, I got a good way to steal their money. They're like, okay, and they kind of go with it. So it kind of sets up his character of how he's opportunistic in the future with that glimpse early on. Okay, so he's not exactly a good guy. You see that he's a crook. Okay, there's no doubt about it. He's got a crook upbringing. All right, but in the context of this, he turns out to be. If assassins can be good guys, can assassins be good guys? I guess, quote unquote,
I think John Wick has proved that they can.
Anti-heroes.
Anti-hero is a better term for it than good guy.
Yeah, quote unquote anti-heroes. Which I think some of the best films are always the anti-hero films. What do you think about that? When they're not too goody two shoes.
Yeah, I would say Venom would failed at that. What else? What other anti-hero failed? You know, there's a couple examples, but most of them you're correct. I'd say, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You talking about the
John Wick, best
Venom
example.
with Tom Hardy? Venom with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess you could technically say you could technically say Wolverine's an anti-hero, and usually they classify anti-heroes as somebody.
But he's the X-Men, so technically he is a good guy.
Yeah, but he like cuts your head off though. He cut a whole head off.
Well, so if you within the context of our dehumanized society, I think you could say that he's a good guy because we've been convinced. That's a whole other conversation.
Okay. All right. So Winston Scott. So we see him early. Now we do have a John-esque moment, John Wick-esque moment at the beginning of the film when we actually see his brother stealing the key punch. Okay?
Right. The coin press.
Yeah, Frankie. Yeah, the coin press. I'm sorry, not key punch, coin press. Frankie, which is his brother.
Yes.
And
he gave me some Jason Momoa vibes a little bit. Big guy, long haired, brooding and dark. You know.
Well, when my girlfriend seen it, she immediately got excited because he played in Animal Kingdom, and that was like one of her favorite shows.
Oh, really?
She watched every episode of Animal Kingdom.
Was that the show where the zoo creatures took over the city? Because there was a show like that. I don't remember what it was called though.
No, that's pretty good. Now, Animal Kingdom was pretty much about a group of thieves, and so you had a woman who had adopted.
Was it like a bunch? Was it like a fucking spin-off of like Sons of Anarchy, or was it like
Not
that?
really.
Kinda?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was its own thing. But you had a woman who had adopted 4 boys, and they had a criminal enterprise where they stole shit. That was it. Animal Kingdom. That was like the whole premise of the show. But she absolutely loved that show. She checked out everything. So when she saw him, of course, you know, she's immediately like, "Oh man, this is great." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when he was in there attempting to steal, or actually stealing, the coin press, that's when we have our John Wick-esque moment when he's fighting the people in. But I will say this one thing: they didn't make it over the top to make it seem like he could one up John Wick.
Right.
I will say that they did dial it back.
He was going up the stairs like he was floating, and he was just kicking ass, and everyone was flying. I mean, it was John Wick-esque, big time. And some of the cinematography caught me as John Wick-esque, especially as we get towards the end of the second episode and the third episode. There's a lot of panning scenes with music in the background, which very much fit the John Wick feel. Although I do have to say, I'd say that applied to maybe 40%. 60% didn't really have the John Wick feel. Like I forgot I was watching something about John Wick until something would kick back up, and then we would get into some of the characters. Like the brother and sister who owned the dojo.
The twins. The twins were the assassins. The brother twins were the assassins, yes. Lou and Miles. Yeah.
Right. And so there we have some... I like the character development they did here on them, because they did such a good job coming full circle with the father.
Dude, okay, guys, let me tell you something right now. The character development, this was only 3 episodes, okay? I think the first one was like an hour 20, second was an hour 15, third was an hour 30 minutes.
All roughly hour 20 to hour 30. It was good timing.
So within that point in time, they were able to successfully flesh out like 6 or 7 characters. Successfully. Like, you understood their backstory. You understood their motivations. I mean, within this 3 episodes.
And it made you care. You gave a shit.
Yeah.
You gave a shit. That's the whole point of character development, is to make you bond with the character. And they did it. It was almost like the writer who wrote this knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
They must have paid his ass.
Hey, let's get somebody good. Well, I think that with this, you have so much pressure, which I think that's where companies have kind of fell off, that they've kind of, they ain't no pressure because people are just going to watch this. No, the people felt the pressure. They're like, look, John Wick is an iconic, series of movies. So if we're going to do something within the war, within the world and the lore of that, we need to make sure we bring our A game. Okay, that way it doesn't stain, the John Wick mantra. So I think that's what you got to kind of be careful of whenever you start getting these out-branching series and things of that nature, to make sure that you get the correct people. That way you don't actually tarnish the legacy of a series that was so great. What do you think about that?
Yes. I think that we already know that the John Wick movies, the 4 of them, which there will be a 5th, no matter what, because he definitely ain't dead. They are iconic in such a short period of time. They were iconic from the first one because of the action and the simplicity of the plot, right? Like Spain's new senator could appreciate the totality of that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, because she's fucking retarded, right? So that's how simple the plot line is, right? And that's why it's such a success.
It's like, okay, so you go with the first John Wick movie. It said, all right, we busted in his house, we killed his dog, which was the final gift from his dead wife. He's a former assassin. We fucked up. He goes and kills everybody. Boom. I mean, you just like, and then you just sit back and you enjoy. All the while introducing you to the actual world of the assassins.
Right. Which you kind of try to figure out for a while. Is this our world? Do the assassins live amongst us? Is this our world? But alas, I don't think it is. I think it's a parallel world. I don't think it's...
Yeah, it'd be parallel.
Yeah.
It's not... So, I don't think they're quite like hanging out and having coffee and stuff at the hotel or something. They may be.
I mean, if you really want to dig into like logistics and plot holes in this thing, you could probably tear this thing a new asshole if you really wanted to. But there's no point in doing that because everyone loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So of course Frankie's still in the coin press. All right, and we'll get into what we believe the motivation of that was later on. But I want to jump over to our antagonist, our main antagonist, which is none other than Cormac, who was played by Mel Gibson. What'd you believe, or how'd you feel about Cormac, Mel Gibson, as the villain in this?
Okay. I was thinking about this as I was watching, and I think that I was trying to imagine what the critic reviews would be like. And I could see critics writing it as a career-defining piece, a career-defining role. And I could also see critics writing it as Mel Gibson goes on unhinged role in new John Wick offshoot. Right? I could have seen both coming out
he's a lunatic.
as reality.
He's a lunatic in this.
Correct.
Complete lunatic.
So, I myself didn't really know if it was career defining and amazing or if he was off his fucking rocker. You know what I mean? And it was good.
You know who? It reminds me of. You watched it, Russell Crowe in Unhinged. The movie Unhinged. I don't know if you've seen that.
I don't know how I couldn't have. I love Russell Crowe.
Oh, okay. This might jog your memory. Okay, Russell Crowe, he gets cheated on by his wife. She divorces him, takes the house from him. He comes and he finds her and the new boyfriend in the house. He kills both of them. A woman ends up cutting him off at the damn stoplight, and she talks shit to him, and then he just like, okay, bitch, I'm going to make your day rough. And so he chases her the whole day. If you have not seen that, oh my God, dude. He's a lunatic in that film.
I have not seen that.
Watch Unhinged. Dude, Russell Crowe is a lunatic. And that's what Mel Gibson reminded me of.
They absolutely needed to solidify him as the bad guy definitively in this film. And because he's Mel Gibson, you want to like him, right? That's and they have to know this going in, is that people like Mel Gibson, they're going to want to like Mel Gibson. And he does things that are kind of likable in this film as part of his personality development. But they have to make sure that you hate this guy.
Oh, and they did.
And they did. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert, guys, because this is what we do. When he beats the kid to death with the damn golf club.
Right. So, Safar is the name of the assistant, right? And so I couldn't tell if they were inferring there was some gay shit going on here or not.
Most definitely. Yeah.
The guy. I don't know, man. I'm going to pretend that that's not true. And so
it was.
Okay, so the cellist who's hired, who went to like some awesome school, who's an awesome cellist, he's on the payroll of Cormac, and he tells Cormac that he's leaving, and Cormac's okay with that. But then he proceeds to tell him that he attempted to get Safar to go with him.
Sharon. I'm sorry.
Sharon, not Safar. Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon to go with him. And this is when Cormac interprets it, which he's already commented on before, people stealing from him and betraying him. And it's a vulnerability for him. And when he hears that Sharon was about to get poached by this nobody musician, and musicians are a dime a dozen to him, he could not let that happen, and he beats this kid to death with a fucking 5-iron, and it is brutal. Gruesome. Like, he don't stop. You're like, okay, that's enough. And then he keeps going.
And he leaves him there.
He leaves him there on purpose for Sharon to see.
Yeah. I mean, so that's that would be in episode 2 when that happens. And so that like solidifies him as like, oh, okay, I hate this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, however, I don't recall the proper order of this. By this time, had he already been approached in the bus?
Sharon, yes.
So he's approached in the bus.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
Because at that point in time, Well, yeah, this happens simultaneously because when Sharon comes back, he shows it to him and he's like, "Sir, I just want to let you know I was approached by Winston
Right.
Scott, and he's planning on killing
Right.
you."
So,
So that's where
which had to have been all part of the plot to begin
it
with,
was
because he was ensuring his trust by bringing the plot to his attention. Like he was he was pulling a double, triple whammy on him. And so, and it was good. But they did a good job of playing it off, because you really couldn't tell at that point as the observer, you didn't really know. And you didn't really know what decision he made. Even despite him seeing his friend getting his head beat in, you didn't know until a very specific moment when it becomes obvious which side that he's on, which we'll get to in episode 3.
Yeah. So Cormac, complete lunatic. He's a guy that doesn't like to be stolen from, and he is extremely manipulative. He actually, through this, you see early on when Frankie and Winston were kids, he had them throw a Molotov cocktail into a building, and Cormac knew that there were people inside that building.
Right.
So he did that to intentionally fuck them up.
Right. And again, to taint them almost. It was like to make sure they could never go straight or go to the cops because they were responsible. Right. So it was creating a dependency. He was creating a dependency, it felt like.
Yeah, at that point in time, Frankie actually takes the fall, which I think they did these flashbacks perfect, because it just flashback pretty much just to that moment.
The flashbacks were crucial in this character development and seeing the contrast between Frankie and Winston.
Yeah, because Frankie was always the stronger person. He was always the one that was willing to sacrifice.
Right.
Throughout this, and he is seen as a sacrificial character. Even in the first episode, of course, it gets into his backstory as well. He's been to jail. He's been overseas in the war. All right, he managed to find him a nice little. I can't call her a Ling Ling. That's Korea. Vietnam.
They're all the same.
They're all Ling Lings. A nice little Ling Ling. I'm like, okay, I hear you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And so what you don't know early on is Frankie's actual motivation. All right, as far as stealing the coin press itself, it just kind of seems to be like a random act. It didn't seem like he's trying to sell it or anything like that. So they give you a little bit at the end.
Right, but I got the impression right from the jump that it was a hired job. Like he got hired to do it, to steal that. Like it never came off to me.
It's just like
that was my impression. They don't tell you that at all. But it felt for a moment when Winston meets with Cormac and he's like, "I need you to get me the coin press back," and it establishes at this point that they knew each other for a long time and that he had done work for him and everything. So it felt like there was this kind of understanding there between the two of them, like at least a certain level of respect or mutual understanding or trust, because they were somewhat family, because he kind of knew the guy for like 15, 20 years, right?
Yep.
And so when he basically tells him, "Look, I don't have any part of this," I thought for a moment that it was an opportunity for the two of them to not end up on the opposite side of a conflict. You know what I mean?
Right. You talking about Frankie and Winston?
I'm talking about Winston and Cormac.
Oh, okay, got you.
So, because Cormac is now at this point saying, "You need to get me the press and get me your brother, like, or I'm coming after both of you," right? But he should have known that he didn't have anything to do with any of this stuff. But yes, later on we do discover that he was hired the whole time. So
yeah, and Frankie is you pretty much get the development of him, what he is. As always, he's been willing to sacrifice his his happiness, his freedom for others. That's the type of guy he is. So he's willing to quote unquote fall on the sword. So Frankie's the guy that falls on the sword, and of course, when they're trying to get away at the end of the first episode, he knows they can't get away. So what he does is that he jumps off with what they think is the case that's holding the coin press, and he sacrifices his life so that Winston and his wife can get away.
Right.
So it gives you that pretty much, and they also, you hear the other characters that's in this particular film talk about Frankie, and they give you that indication that he's that type of dude as well.
Right. He's an honest crook.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Are there such a thing?
I guess so. Depends on who you ask. Potato.
Honor amongst thieves. Isn't that what they say?
Something like that. Yes.
Honor amongst thieves. Yes. Honor amongst thieves, guys. So that's the Frankie character, and of course Frankie is kind of like he's kind of like the badass. They're like, man, you give Frankie something, you know what I'm saying? He'll kill everybody in the room. So Frankie's kind of the John Wick-esque guy,
right?
You know
but
what I'm
also
saying?
You get the feeling that he's not reliable. You get the feeling that he kind of plays by his own, dances to his own tune. And that if up and dipping out suits his purpose, he'll do that as opposed to sticking around and duking it out, you know. So, it seems like it was a, I get the feeling like, when you flick the little thing and it spins around like a little arrow on the card, and like whatever color it stops on, right? Like in whatever game that is, Twister, right? Like one of those, like. Yeah, it's like one of those. Like you got an 80% chance. You just got to flick the thing, and depending on what color it lands on, he's going to help you or dip out, right? So most of the time he was there for you, but not always.
Right. Yeah, this is true. This is true. So let's move over into the characters at the dojo and their setup. So that's Lou, Miles, and Lemmy. Okay, Lou, Miles, and Lemmy. Now, of course, Miles and Lemmy, their background, of course, is the war as well. So it seems like people that's close to Frankie have had those ties via the war. The people that are closest to him. It doesn't seem like Frankie has allies on the quote unquote, well, as many allies on the. Well, no, actually, I don't think he has any allies on the assassin side, because the one assassin that Miles gets, he knows him.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I did notice is that there was very little indication. You remember in the John Wick movies, like when John Wick fucked up, he went incommunicado, and they cut him off, and they had like a 5-minute scene of them, putting out the message, John Wick off the, don't talk to John Wick, and all the money and all that stuff. And it was a very heavy feeling of the high table's presence and saturation in the story. Just from that one scene, even if you didn't see the assassins for a while, you got the feeling of pressure because of that scene, right? There was nothing really like that. It was a very small scene where it kind of felt like that in the third episode, but there was never really the feeling that the high table was lingering in the background, or that there was any kind of...
And there's a reason for that. It's because the adjudicator was pulling the strings on this. So I don't even think she was letting the high table know. Because you got to remember,
that's
when
right.
When Cormac kills the cellist in his room, her right hand man is like, should we notify the high table? Cormac has killed on Continental ground. She's like, no. That's why the high table didn't know anything about it. There's some, and this is what we actually find out. The adjudicator is the one who actually hired Frankie to steal the coin press. Now, she says something interesting. She was like, if it had just done what I told him to do with it, which we never figure out what that is.
There's a lot we never figure out what was going. There's a lot of stuff hanging. There's a lot of open doors here that they didn't close. They left a lot of stuff up in the air that I really want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think,
and you're telling me this is it. Like,
I believe so.
There ain't gonna be a Continental season 2.
No, I don't think so.
I don't like that answer, and I don't think it's correct.
Is that not sufficient?
It's not sufficient.
Does that not suffice?
No, it does not compute.
Does that not suffice? Oh man. Okay, so let's get back to Miles, Lou, and Lemmy. So Miles, of course, since he's got back from the war, of course, which what happened with a lot of these guys, all they knew was war. They didn't really have any skills but killing or dealing some type of firearm. So he's a firearms dealer. He's got his sister who was trying to hold on to the legacy of their father with the dojo. Okay. And then you've got Lemmy, who has just basically given over his life of service to Miles because he gave him a place to stay and gave him a family atmosphere. So we pretty much we get all their stories right there, and Lou was probably focused on a little bit more because she's got the moral code with not using guns and things of that nature, and she's got this thought of who her father was. And what's the saying that always goes? Never meet your heroes.
Yes.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying? she didn't find out who her father really was until the very end, which
I thought it was a really okay. So they did a really good job, and they didn't even have to go there with this. This was like to me like bonus because they didn't ever need to really include the father as part of the story at all. He could have been just part of the backdrop. But he had the dojo. Now they got the dojo, and it's costing them money. It doesn't do anything. Nobody trains there. It's just a money pit. And they could have left it at that. But they needed to convert Homegirl. They needed to convert her and get her to come around and see that she's defending a legacy that wasn't real. And so when that gun with his name right on the side, what was it? What was his name on it? Hermopolis.
Her mama doll or something.
It was something like that. It was a biblical name, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a wild name. Hold on, let me see if I can find it right quick.
Eponymous, or something like that.
I don't think that's what it was.
What is it?
Hold on, let me see something. Let's see. Name of Lou's Continental. There we go. Oh, you did say it right. Oh, Hieronymus. It was a desert eagle.
A desert eagle. Right. So that really they killed multiple birds with one stone. That's why I really like this, because they brought in the father, they connected, and they made a loop. They kind of made you go, aha, I remember that. Like thinking back to like the very beginning when they're talking about the dojo and stuff, because you kind of forget. And then it brings her back around to realizing that she needs to shoot some bitches.
Yeah. At that point in time. So and so that actually completes her arc, which is crazy that they managed to have these other side characters that still had arcs.
I know.
I mean, it's just like these are like, guys, these are side characters that you get complete arcs with. I mean, just top to bottom. I'm just like, so y'all are able to do it. So how can't nobody else do it? I mean, that's all I'm saying. Where'd y'all find these guys? Okay, so that's pretty much the premise of those three, and of course, Lemmy's he's thankful to have a place to stay. That's the white guy with Lou and Miles. So they're all basically they deal firearms.
You even get his backstory. He gives a sobbing backstory. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's like, bud, I mean, I was like, damn, bud. I mean, everybody's in on this, okay? So we've got those people, okay, and we got their stories, and they're integral parts as far as the plan to take over the Continental. And then we've got which I think this is needed in every one of these films, but you've got the psychotic assassins, which are the twins, very stoic. They were almost like
they almost looked familiar to me.
For some reason,
they look familiar. I don't know where they weren't throwbacks from the movies, were they? No. Maybe they just did a good.
They did.
Then what that means is that the original the writers of the original John Wick and the producers and the people who made the John Wick movies, they did such an amazing job creating the atmosphere surrounding assassins that these two twins just fit like right into that. Like all you had to do was look at them and you just knew everything. You knew you didn't even have to know the backstory. You just looked at them and you're like, whoa, they're the psychotic twins and they're freaky and they're badasses. And that's all you needed to know. When he goes, get me the twins.
Yeah, especially when Sharon went down there and opened the door and my man was standing there. He got his damn bob cut size, his bob cut right here. And then his sister walks out and she's covered in blood, like in her bra and panties. You're like, the fuck is going on here? Oh, okay, these folks are crazy. What's crazy, their name is Hansel and Gretel.
No way.
That's their name. It's Hansel and Gretel. That's their actual name. He called them the twins, but their name is Hansel and Gretel. So pretty much they are the main assassins that they have to get past. All right. So they're kind of like I say they're mini bosses, because in movies you got the main boss, you got your mini bosses. I would call the assassins the mini bosses, the twins. They're quote unquote. And then you've got the people that they kill along the way, which I call them the Foot. You know, like the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
You got the Foot, and then you got your damn. What was it? Rhino. They weren't rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Was it Rhino?
Mm-hmm.
In Ninja Turtles. Before you
I
got
know who
the
you're
Shredder.
talking about, but I don't remember his name. But I know it wasn't Rhino.
Yeah, before you got the Shredder, you had your two other animals you had to fight. So it's kind of set up like that. But I thought the assassins, the twins, Hansel and Gretel, I thought they did a great job of portraying their characters, because they never really spoke.
No,
it's just weirdos. Like it's like perfect.
And like their expressions or what they were doing with their weapons or how they fought, like spoke for them. It was it was good. I liked them. I liked them a lot. It's almost like when they get killed, and you always know they're going to get killed, right? Because they're the bad guy, and that's a good thing that's one thing about John Wick. The good guys win, and the bad guys lose, right? And so
there you go.
and so they're kind of, you kind of form such a bond with them that even when they get killed, you're like, oh man, they got killed.
Yeah, but they do take their pound of flesh before they leave. Let's see, Gretel, she kills Frankie, shooting him in the head. Hansel, he kills Lemmy by dropping the grenade through the chute. And then he was whooping the shit out of Miles and Luke. I mean, he was kicking her out. He had Miles. He had a damn pool stick stabbed through his chest and was choking Lou out on the back end. I said, "Damn!" I was like, choking one and stabbing the other. I was like,
"Yeah, this thing had some really good fight scenes. The choreography was like." It was impressive for it to only have been for a TV miniseries, right? Because that's ultimately what this was. I mean, like I said when we talked right after I watched it, the scene in the phone booth when
with that's with Lou
and she kicks that cop's ass.
Mayhew.
She beats this dude's ass in a phone booth, and like the choreography in the phone booth was badass.
Now let's speak a little bit about that, because there's an arc there with Mayhew, who is a low down bastard who is cheating on his wife. Got kids at the house, and he's cheating with a woman named KD. Now, we don't actually understand why KD is so enthralled with the Continental and with Winston Scott, but we end up getting her arc, because her parents were the one that Frankie and Winston burned up all those years prior, back in 1955. You're like, oh, holy shit. You know what I'm saying?
Like every crumb they gave you, they looped back to.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like this series was done so well, like across the board, dialogue, character arcs, choreography as far as fight scenes,
development,
like,
everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that. This is as close to a masterpiece as you can get with a miniseries. As close. Was there anything that you felt they could have did better? Right offhand.
You know, we followed it pretty well, but I think the storyline could have gotten a little bit obscure or obtuse for some people who were following along. You know, I think maybe it kind of it could have lost some people along the way, especially how it broke between 3 different parts. Other than that, no, I think they did a really good job. It didn't feel like movies material. It did feel like television material. And I'm going to refer to internet streaming as TV from now on, because it's the new TV, ultimately, is what it really is. But no, I don't really have any criticisms of production or anything like that. Writing was good. Cinematography was killer sometimes when they were panning even through some of the hallways in the hotel. I thought was badass. And some of those moments of just the movement going with the music felt like very John Wick. So, yeah, I don't really have any major complaints in regards to maybe cast. Maybe I'm not sure Frankie and Winston were the best for this roles. I kind of envision maybe even, if they would have, I could have even gone for a known actor in the role of Winston.
Who would you have in mind? Is there anybody who would just stand out in mind or have in mind? I can't think of it.
I can't think of anybody offhand. No,
I think they I think they kind of ran their budget whenever they got Mel Gibson.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. No, I don't really have any complaints. It felt like it could have been a little more forceful, or a little bit more, had some more eye candy. I don't know, but
they did have one sex scene. That's when KD was riding Mayhew, and at first I didn't know who it was. I thought it was Frankie. I thought it was Frankie.
I like it. I like that scenes like that are still in the stuff, because it just shows that they're not so woke that they're worried about offending people. Because does sex offend women or something? Is that a woke thing?
Millennials and Gen Z said that it's tacky to put sex scenes in this.
Oh, this coming from a generation that does like orgies and weird shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
OnlyFans
and dress like as the opposite sex. Yeah, fuck Gen Z and these people, man. Like seriously, if you're born after like 1990, you should probably just fucking go right to the gulag.
Oh man, I tell you what, but I mean that's what they said. They said Gen Z was like, you know what? There ain't no real reason to see a titty in a movie no more. I'm like, let's calm down, okay?
Exactamundo.
Everybody's doing their titty every once in a while.
You can take a bad movie and you can increase it by like 10 points in my mind just by adding some titties. Like here's a great example. The Piranha series, Piranha 3 Triple D. They called it 3 Triple D for a reason. Okay? That fucking movie had so many goddamn titties. That's the most memorable thing about it. And I'll watch that movie again. If it didn't have any titties, I would not even be remembering I watched that movie. Because that's how men operate and that's how the world goes around. And if you don't like it, fuck off.
This is true. This is true.
Words of wisdom with Corey Hughes.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Increase your product by adding titties. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's the Revenge of the Nerds theory. I mean, you remember the pies in Revenge of the Nerds.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, that is true.
Although those pies were just a thing of whipped cream. Okay, I don't know how you fucking call a plate full of whipped cream a pie, but their pie had tits under it. And the alphas didn't. And that's why they won. And that is how the universe operates.
That's true. This is true. Now we actually see the Bowery in this particular one. Now we know that the Bowery King in the John Wick series is Lawrence Fishburne, but it's actually a woman who was over the Bowery at this point in time, in Maisie, who actually comes to the aid of Winston, who Winston uses buys him a bank, and he actually has the coin press the entire time, and he uses that to his advantage because, of course, we know when you're going to the Continental, all they deal is in the gold coins, which what kind of made it funny when KD was in there trying to pay money. Everybody was like, I thought she was going to get killed right then. I said, oh, shit, they're going to kill her.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought right then there. So, damn, they're going to kill her in here. And no, they
So
just let her walk.
This
like,
to
okay.
me causes me some existential problems. Okay. So in the John Wick movies, which are in the future from this, those coins are of utmost importance. Those coins are very valuable, and beyond being valuable, they are a marker, and they serve multiple purposes, right? They serve, besides a currency, you can use them for like the blood bond and like whatever else, right? So they have more than one functionality. It isn't just some gold coin. Yeah, it's a symbol that you're one of them.
Right.
Well, as we shall see, you got the Bowery Queen now using the coin press to make a whole bunch of forgeries in the bank.
They use real gold.
No, it's real gold, but they're forging them. They're not official from the high table anymore. They're counterfeit.
Oh, yeah.
They're using the real press, but they're counterfeit, no matter how you look at it. And that, to me, taints the value of these coins. Unless they haven't.
Okay.
I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. It is a really big deal.
Okay.
Because now you got a bunch of hoodlums with a coin press, the real coin press, but are they following the monetary agreement of the high table on when to press coins? Do they know when to press coins? Do they have to destroy so many every year like the Federal Reserve does? I mean, these hoodlums just jumped in feet first, started pressing coins, and they, if you ask me, they're not worth the gold they are printed with.
What the whole premise of the coin press and why it's so vital to keep it safe is so you don't have infiltration by outsiders that could topple the whole organization. That's the whole premise of it. So they know an outsider, because the minute KD pulled out cash when she first walked in the Continental, they were like, and the bartender kind of looked over and like, take it. The folks tapping their nose and rubbing their elbow. And I was like, but they're going to slit a throat in here. I mean, that's what I thought right offhand. But they used that as a means to get the people from the soup kitchen, from the Bowery, to infiltrate into the Continental. Because as long as you got that gold coin, it shows that you're part of the network.
Yeah.
So he used that to his advantage. So they actually gave you the reason why this is so valuable and why it's such a high offense if it's stolen from you. They give you that reason right there, because if somebody gets their hands on it, then they can infiltrate these areas that they're not supposed to be able to get into, where you can immediately go, oh, okay, they're an outsider. You know what I'm saying? So they give you that. But Maisie's the actual leader of this. And so Lawrence Fishburne becomes the leader years later of the Bowery, the soup kitchen. The guys underneath the in the street. And at this point in time, they are not part of the quote-unquote assassins. So they're not part of the high table or anything like that. So I'm wondering when they actually become a part of that.
Well, they seem to be...
They're outside of that.
Adjacent, like they're aware of. And so that gives us an insight that there are other organizations who are aware of the high table and their structure that are not a part of it. You know? So that's good.
Right. So, of course, at the end of the day on this, Winston is victorious. Katie gets her revenge by killing Cormac.
Because we find out that Cormac orchestrated. Yeah, because we find out that Cormac orchestrated the bombing.
Orchestrated fire. Godly, I'm trying to think of the old dude's name that needed glasses. That was a sniper.
Oh my God, that guy was hilarious.
I don't know why I don't see him right offhand on this list. I can't think of his name right now for some reason. It is eluding me. But he was great. I thought he was great when he's up there with the when he was in the owner's apartment. She walks back to the door. I forgot my medication. he got the rifle turned at her because it gave you that sense that like, oh shit, they found out where he was at because it kept like zooming behind him, like somebody's gonna come up and shoot him in the back of the head.
Right, but
here's where turned out just to be her.
But also at the same time, they tipped their hand a little bit because early in the film, he's asked, "When are you going to find somebody and settle down or something like that?" And he's like, "No, I'm just going to be. It's better for me just to be alone. You know, I can't go out.
Yeah, that is true.
I can't be going out and killing these wanted pedophiles if I got somebody." So the split second I saw her come back and open the door, I'm like, "That's that arc. They're closing that arc right there," and that's what they did.
Yeah. He even had an arc.
He even had a fucking arc.
Yeah, botanical gardens and all. But
I knew exactly what was happening. As soon as she showed up and he was there with the gun, I knew that everything that happened there, I knew it was going to happen. He was going to tie her up, and by the end of the show, she was going to fall in love. They were going to fall in love with each other, and that's basically the direction they went with it, which was perfect. Which was perfect because he didn't have to kill her, and that was good.
Yeah, right on time. So of course, as we said, and of course, to add to the lunacy of Cormac right here at the end of the film, he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to just damn sink the Continental. I mean, he went to self-destruct mode. He's like, he got to the floor, the operations room where you're not supposed to go. He killed the man in the operations room. It's like, shit, I'm just going to blow the whole place up. Which is crazy that they got a self-destruct mode for the hotel. I
like the interactions between him and the fat scientist. Those were pretty fun.
Yeah, he's like, oh, probability has went down. Their odds are going up. He's like, whose side? He's like, man, I'm just talking about the numbers here.
I had a feeling he was going to not be along for this Earth.
Yeah, and he seemed expendable. So, Winston didn't deliver the final blow. It was actually KD. So her arc got completed as far as her redemption throughout this, even though she's technically a homewrecker whore. Yeah. That's what she is. It's unfortunate, but that's what she is. And then she went right over there and smiled right up in the wife's face. Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, damn. That's just cold-hearted, bud. You know what I'm saying? You'll be cold like that. Mayhew over here slanging on the side. I said, I hear you, Mayhew, you dirty bastard. And Winston actually shoots the adjudicator in the street.
Yeah. This is why. Okay, here's the thing. They gave us a cliffhanger because he had yet to negotiate with the high table. He had yet to have the high table's attention because Homegirl was cock blocking the whole thing. So the high table was like out of the picture. Therefore, he killed her just to get their fucking attention.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, and then at the end, it fast forwards to where the hotel's back together and he's at it.
Correct. So therefore,
it skips some stuff.
Right. It skips some stuff, and that's what led me to believe there would be more Continental. I don't know why they'd say there wasn't going to be. There was so much left unresolved.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, they could even have a young John Wick cameo. They can CGI that shit. You know, I mean, a young Wick. Yeah, I think it'd be good, and they can touch more upon the situation with the wife.
You know the movie that they never made, right? It's the prequel, John Wick prequel. Because you got to remember, in John Wick, I asked him to do an impossible job, knowing that he wouldn't be able to get it done and get out. And he completed it. What was the impossible job? That's what, you know what I'm saying? That's what the man did. I asked him to do something impossible. This is surely impossible. But if you want to get out, this is how you get out.
Well, here's another question. How is that guy able to offer his freedom on behalf of the high table? How was he didn't seem like that important. How was he important enough to be able to do that? How could he offer him his freedom at all?
That's a good question. Well, it kind of
Probably
almost made it say
those are the kind of questions they don't ask when they write the first one. They write the first one as a standalone movie, and then they keep writing a movie, and then they realize they didn't address that. They've made the movie. The movie grew bigger than their original script.
Well, yeah, it made it almost seem like John Wick mainly worked for him, per se.
Right, but that couldn't have been true. Just knowing what we know about the High Table.
Maybe not, but we don't know. We don't completely know that guy's backstory either. Completely.
Yeah.
We just know he's a guy of power. That's pretty much what we know on that. So yeah, guys, that's the Continental. Great watch, excellent watch. 9 cubes out of 10 for me.
I'm at 8.5.
Okay, so we 8.75 cubes out of 10.
That's about right.
This is an excellent watch. I suggest you go watch it now. All right, whatever you're doing. Of course, if you made it to the end of this, it's great. Go watch it now. Yeah. All right. Cut this off and go watch it. All right. Because I mean, we just gave you tidbits, man. There's so much more in these 3 episodes to fill all that out. And I'm just amazed with how bad of television and movies we've been getting right here over the past few years that they were able to pump this out in the middle of it. And Peacock at all the places. Peacock is Peacock the one that's going to be pumping out stuff?
Well, that's like NBC, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I know usually if we're talking about good TV series, we know who's the king of that right now as far as any of the big names. It's HBO. HBO usually does the better TV series out of all the corporations. But Peacock gave us a great offering right here. And we do appreciate it because Corey's been ripping his hair out. He's been clawing at his eyes. He's been cussing me every time I give him something new to watch. And so I'm just glad that I picked one that was a winner, which we've had a couple winners over the past year. I mean, Cocaine Bear, Orange Guys Volume 3, Continental.
Deadly Night.
That's 3 in a year. That's pretty bad. Look, hey, we're working on it, okay? Well, hopefully this year we'll have something of note happen. I don't know. Corey, you looking forward to any movie this year? Godzilla Kong? Godzilla X Kong, maybe?
Every review I read saw who saw -1, Godzilla -1, said it was like the best Godzilla movie of all time.
Okay, I might have to figure out how to watch that.
Yeah.
Best of all time.
Yeah. Like, because it had real story and character development and all that stuff. It was like, it was made by the Japanese, so they actually put like care and effort into it.
Well, I mean, it's their character. I mean, they've been doing it in black and white.
I'll watch that. The other one where, with King Kong with his like super wristband or whatever it is. But like, yeah, I don't know about that stuff. He glows pink and shit, whatever.
With his super wristband, that's pretty good. Super duper wristband. So yeah, guys, go check out the Continental. Next thing we'll be bringing to you guys, and Corey, don't throw that at me, is Echo.
You break it up. I can't hear you. What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
Corey.
How dare you?
We've been bringing to you Echo. What's key about Echo is that we can just watch it. It ain't got to be weekly because they dropped all 5 episodes at one time.
Yeah, everybody's shit. I saw some of the reviews shitting on it today. So I would say over the top wokeness. So
yeah, so we'll be bringing you our thoughts on that particular series. It sounds like they may not be good, so be on the lookout for that. We appreciate everybody for checking us out. From your boy HQ420, the co-host, the powerful one, Corey Hughes. We'll catch you on the next Showtime with the key. Peace out.